Hello everybody, I'm Nick, and in this video we're going to start talking about authentication, and later we're going to see what authorization is and how we can use them. But for now, just authenticating with JWT's JSON Web Tokens in our .NET Core 2.2 application. In case you don't know what the JWT is, in the top right corner of your screen right now you can actually click that link, and I've made a video explaining what that is, so I will proceed assuming you know what it is. So if you don't, please watch that video and then come back here and we're gonna implement JWTs here. So first things first, let's go to the app settings, and I will need an item here which I will call JWT settings. Zoom that in. And in here I'm gonna have a secret, and this secret needs to be a string of length 32 characters. Now, this is supposed to be a secret. This is a private secret. You do not share this with anybody. This is the identity service secret. And if anybody else finds out what this is, you're screwed, because they can actually issue tokens as if they were you. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going to use 32 A's as my secret, but you should not do this. Okay, you should have a randomized 32 string here. Later we might see how we can actually involve certificates into this to make this even more secure, but for now just this. And then in my options folder I'm going to create a new class called JWT settings. Maybe options, just let's go with settings for now, and I'll see in the future. And it's gonna have the secret I talked about, so just a string secret. And what we need to do is open our installers, and for now I'm gonna do this in the MVC installer class. But what I will do is I will create a new JWT settings class. Here we go. And then I'm gonna do configuration.bind name of actually JWT settings, and the name and the key, name of JWT settings here. So this will automatically map this here into our class, and then we're just gonna also register this as a singleton because we might want to pick it up later in some other class. So this will just register these options into our IOC. Now, what do I need in terms of configuration to add JSON Web Token support? Well, first and foremost, we need authentication. So I'm going to do services.add authentication, and we're gonna configure this with the default authenticate scheme being JWT default authentication scheme. Then I'm gonna add the default scheme to be the same. So JWT authentication scheme, and last but not least, the default challenge scheme will be the same. So this kind of tells our application that, hey, I wanna authenticate this user using the JWT scheme, and this is only in the standard. You can use that. You don't have to refer to any package. The other thing I need to do is I need to say add JWT bearer, and this would actually tell you, it would tell the system how we can use the token, what the token should look like, its rules and all that configuration. So first we're gonna say save token equals true. You don't really need to know what this does for now. We're gonna go over it later in another video, but for now just follow this. So we need token validation parameters, and these token validation parameters will be used to validate our token as the request comes into our controllers, and we're gonna see how our controllers will look in a bit. Keep in mind these videos will actually be split because the topic is so huge. So this first video will just talk about setting it up. The next video will be about registration and logging in, and later we're going to talk about authorization as well. So first we need to say validate issuer signing key, and that's the most important thing because this will validate the last bit of our JWTs using the secret we just added here, and we'll make sure it's authentic that we issued this. So we're going to say true, and then the issuer signing key will be a new symmetric security key, and we're going to use JWT settings dot secret. And because this is a string and what we really need is a byte array, we're going to say encoding dot ASCII dot, it needs to be ASCII dot get bytes, and we're going to get the bytes of the secret. And then we need a few other settings such as validate issuer. For now I'm going to set this to false, and that's the same for validate audience, but there are scenarios where you need to turn these on. We're going to probably talk about this later. For now I'm just setting up the basic JWT authentication. We're going to say require authentication time false, and we're going to say validate lifetime true. There's a few other things we can configure. Actually, there's a lot of other things we can configure, but for now we're going to leave them out of this. It would probably be a good idea to actually add the authentication once I registered my MVC. So that goes here. And another thing I need to do is in my add Swagger gen, because Swagger needs to also know about this, we're going to add a few things. First, we're going to add the security type. This looks a bit weird, I know, and it's going to get better in 3.0, but for now we just kind of have to deal with this. So we need a dictionary of a string, and the other value is an enumerable of string, and here we will define the type of authentication that our Swagger needs to support. And all we need is bearer token support. That JWT is a bearer token. I explained what that is in the JWT video, so if you haven't seen that, well, click the link up there. So this goes here, and then we're going to say add security definition, and that is again bearer, and then we're going to say new API key scheme because it's an API key. And then we're going to say description. Description could be like JWT authorization header using the bearer scheme. And you can give other descriptions. I'm just going to stop there. The name will be authorization in, well, the header, because that's where the JWT goes, and type is API key. And last but not least, we're gonna add security requirement, and we're gonna add our security. So that's one part of it. There is another part in the app settings of our application, and that should be, I can do this here, app.add use authentication and nothing else. That's it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build this and run this and show you what happened in Swagger. So now we have our API as it was, but you might have noticed there is this authorize button, and these are the descriptions, the bearer API key in header, and now we can actually paste stuff here and authorize using this value. And then whenever we use one of these endpoints, it will actually make sure that, well, not by default, I'll show you how you'll enable this, but it will use this value. So that just makes testing easier. So let me close this. And now with just these lines, so literally this one, which adds the middleware, the authentication middleware, and these lines here, which add the bearer token configuration, we can actually authenticate users as they come in using their JWTs. And that's gonna be it for this video. Remember, we actually have all these migrations with a create identity if you made the project the same way I did. So we won't actually talk about how we can create the user object and all that. We're just gonna reuse all of these tables that were already created for us when we launched this project. So that's it for this video. I just want to show you how we can actually set it up, and it's very simple. Microsoft has made this very, very easy. In the next video, we're going to talk about registration and login and how we can add these policies on our controllers to make sure that our users are actually authenticated and authorized to use these endpoints. Leave a like if you like this video, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep coding.